Improvement never happens by accident. It is a deliberate decision, a conscious act of self-command. Every human being carries within them a sleeping potential, a vast and untapped power that waits to be awakened. But potential alone means nothing until it is forced into motion. Growth begins the very moment comfort ends. You cannot expand while staying where it's easy, and you cannot rise while clinging to what feels safe. The difference between the average and the extraordinary lies in one simple truth. The extraordinary force themselves to grow when every part of them wants to stay still. There is a hidden law in life. What you do not use, you lose. The same rule that governs the muscles of the body also governs the muscles of the mind and spirit. If you don't challenge your mind, it weakens. If you don't stretch your courage, it shrinks. If you don't feed your ambition with discipline, it starves. That is why people who stop pushing themselves start to fade, not just in their results, but in their spirit. Life becomes dull, passion fades, direction disappears. Improvement is not an option, it's survival. You must keep evolving, or the world will move past you. The act of forcing yourself to improve is not an act of cruelty. It's an act of respect for who you can become. When you push yourself beyond your comfort zone, you are saying to life, I deserve to grow. You are refusing to let your potential rot under the weight of laziness and fear. The mind has a fascinating way of resisting progress. It wants to stay in the familiar, even when that familiar life no longer serves you. But if you always listen to comfort, you will live your life repeating the same year over and over again. You will never meet the version of yourself that exists beyond your excuses. Where improvement begins with pressure. Just like heat forges steel, pressure forges character. You will never know what you are truly capable of until you demand more from yourself than anyone else ever could. There's a silent power in that decision. A power that doesn't come from motivation or inspiration, but from the unshakable commitment to rise. Every time you force yourself to learn something new, to face something uncomfortable, or to discipline a wandering mind, you send a signal to your subconscious that you are in control. That signal grows stronger each time you act, until the resistance that once held you back begins to fade. The people who change their lives do not wait for the right moment. They create it through persistence and pressure. They don't wait to feel ready. They move first and let readiness follow. Because truthfully, you will never feel ready to face discomfort. Growth will always feel wrong at first. It will feel heavy, it will feel uncertain, and it will test your patience. But beneath that struggle, something powerful is happening, transformation. The mind that once resisted challenge starts to crave it. The body that once felt weak starts to adapt. The spirit that once doubted itself begins to believe. That is the hidden law of growth. The moment you choose progress over comfort, everything inside you begins to reorganize towards strength. You stop surviving and start expanding. You stop wishing and start working. The more you force yourself to grow, the less you need to be forced, because improvement becomes part of who you are. It stops being an effort and starts being your identity. That's when real power begins, not when you win against others, but when you win against your own resistance. Forcing yourself to improve is not just a way to succeed. It is the way to reclaim your potential, to awaken the greatness that has been waiting within you all along. Improvement hurts. There's no way around it. The process of change feels like a tearing apart from the inside because you are dismantling the parts of yourself that kept you small. The pain you feel when you push your limits is not punishment. It's progress taking shape. Most people misunderstand is pain. They see it as a signal to stop, when in truth it's the body and mind adapting to a higher level of performance. Every muscle grows after resistance. Every skill sharpens after repetition. Every strong mind was once a mind that refused to break under discomfort. Pain is not your enemy, it is your teacher. It exposes the weak parts of you, not to destroy you, but to show you where your strength must be built. The world trains people to chase comfort. From the moment we wake up, we are offered shortcuts, distractions, and escapes. But the more we choose comfort, the more we lose the ability to handle life. Growth demands friction, struggle, and failure. You cannot evolve while protecting yourself from pain. That is why the people who thrive are not the ones who avoid hardship. They are the ones who transform it into fuel. They take the sting of rejection and turn it into discipline. They take the discomfort of effort and turn it into mastery. They understand a truth that most run away from. If it doesn't challenge you, it will not change you. When you force yourself to endure what others avoid, you become powerful in silence. You build an inner toughness that no one can see, but everyone can feel. The pain that once broke you now becomes the foundation of your strength. Every time you do something that scares you, every time you push past fatigue, every time you keep going when your mind says stop, you are building an unshakable identity. That is how champions are made, not through luck or talent, but through the willingness to suffer for improvement. They don't seek an easy life, they seek a strong one. But there's something deeper about pain. It humbles you. It strips away ego. It reveals who you really are when comfort is gone. That is why pain is sacred for those who grow. It refines you. It burns away weakness and replaces it with wisdom. It reminds you that you are capable of enduring more than you believe. And once you realize that, fear loses its grip. The moment you understand that pain is not an ending but a beginning, you stop running from it. You start walking through it, knowing that on the other side lies the version of yourself you've always dreamed of becoming. So don't avoid the pain of effort. Embrace it. Don't retreat when life feels uncomfortable. Rise into it. Every challenge, every setback, every exhausting moment is shaping you for greatness. Growth hurts because it's breaking away the layers of weakness you've carried for too long. It's not punishment, it's preparation. And when you finally understand that, you'll never fear struggle again. You'll see it as the signal that transformation has begun. The pain you feel today is proof that you are building the strength you will rely on tomorrow. This is the pain that builds power. The power to rise, the power to conquer, and the power to keep improving no matter how hard the path becomes. The biggest enemy of improvement is not failure. It's the voice that whispers, "I'll start tomorrow." That quiet, convincing lie has destroyed more dreams than defeat ever could. It makes you believe there will be a perfect time to begin, that one day you'll wake up and feel completely ready to change your life. But that day never comes. Tomorrow is a trap. It's a comfortable illusion the mind creates to protect you from the discomfort of taking action today. The truth is, if you can't start now, you won't start later. The longer you delay, the stronger your resistance grows. That voice of delay sounds rational. It tells you to wait until things are calm, until you have more motivation, until the conditions are right. But perfection is the excuse of procrastination. There will never be a moment when life stands still, waiting for you to act. There will always be uncertainty. Uncertain. They work when it's inconvenient, because they understand that progress is not built on feeling ready. It's built on action taken when you least feel like it. When you delay action, you give your power away. You allow your emotions, doubts, and fears to command your decisions. Improvement requires reclaiming that power, forcing yourself to move before the mind has time to negotiate. Every moment you hesitate, your dreams decay a little more. Every tomorrow you promise yourself pushes your potential further out of reach. Time doesn't pause for hesitation, it punishes it. You either use time or you lose it. That's why the most successful people in the world have one habit in common. They act quickly. They don't wait for motivation, they create it through motion. Once they start, momentum builds. Once momentum builds, motivation follows. You have to understand something crucial. Discipline is born in the moment you act without permission from your emotions. When you force yourself to start now, you build a new identity, one that no longer seeks comfort or delay. You prove to yourself that you are in control, not your fears. You silence that inner voice of postponement by doing the very thing it's trying to protect you from. Each time you override it, your strength grows. Each time you follow through, your mind learns that you can be trusted to act. Action is the antidote to fear. When you move, hesitation dies. When you wait, it multiplies. That's why you must train. Train yourself to take the first step immediately, before your mind starts listing reasons to quit. The power of now is real. It's the spark that ignites all transformation. Don't let another day pass believing that change is a future event. It isn't. Change is a decision that begins this very second. When you choose to act now, you declare war on weakness. You stop being a prisoner of procrastination and become the master of your own momentum. That is how you destroy the lie of "I'll start tomorrow." ND build the life that only action can create. Success is never built in a single grand gesture. It's constructed through the daily discipline of doing what must be done, especially when it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, and unseen. Improvement is not a single event. It's the sum of small, consistent acts that most people overlook. The power of growth lies in routine, in the quiet repetition of uncomfortable habits. Every time you force yourself to show up when you don't feel like it, you strengthen the muscle of discipline. And that muscle becomes the foundation for every great achievement you'll ever build. Most people misunderstand success. They chase intensity instead of consistency. They work hard for a few days, then collapse when motivation fades. But motivation is temporary. It burns fast and disappears. Discipline is permanent. It grows stronger the more you use it. When you rely on feelings, you will always fall short because feelings are fragile. But when you rely on discipline, you can move forward no matter what. The ones who improve their lives are not necessarily the most talented. They are simply the ones who show up every single day without excuse. The mind resists routine because it craves comfort. It wants novelty, excitement, and instant gratification. But greatness is born from monotony. It's the repetition of difficult, unexciting tasks that creates mastery. Reading when you'd rather relax, studying when your mind wanders, finishing what you started when quitting feels easier. These small daily decisions form the identity of a disciplined person. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to realize that your power lies not in emotion, but in commitment. Each time you push through resistance, you reinforce a new belief. I am capable of following through. That belief, repeated daily, transforms into unshakable confidence. There's a quiet satisfaction in discipline that no temporary pleasure can match. When you force yourself to do the work, even in silence, you feel a deep sense of control. You realize you are no longer at the mercy of mood or circumstance. You are led by purpose. The mind learns obedience through repetition. At first, it protests, it screams for comfort. But over time, it submits. It learns that resistance doesn't win anymore. And once the mind surrenders, everything becomes easier. What once felt heavy becomes natural. What once required willpower becomes instinct. Consistency compounds. The small effort you make daily grows like interest. Miss one day and it feels insignificant. Miss a week and the habit weakens. But stay consistent and the rewards multiply beyond measure. You begin to see results that others mistake for luck, but you'll know it wasn't luck at all. It was the product of countless moments where you forced yourself to keep going. That's the quiet secret of every great success story, discipline in the dark. No applause, no recognition, just a daily commitment to become better. So make the decision now. No matter how you feel, no matter how heavy the day is, show up, do the work. Stay committed to the process. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be persistent. Force yourself to act daily, and soon you won't need to force it anymore. It will become who you are. That's the discipline of daily demands, the art of building greatness, one small, deliberate act at a time. Your life will always be pulled between two powerful forces, comfort and purpose. Comfort whispers in your ear, offering relief, ease, and temporary pleasure. Purpose, on the other hand, calls you toward growth, responsibility, and meaning. Comfort feels good in the moment, but steals your future. Purpose feels heavy at first, but gives you everything comfort can't: strength, fulfillment, and peace. Every day you are faced with a choice between these two paths. The easy one keeps you the same. The hard one transforms you. The direction of your life depends on which one you choose more often. Comfort is seductive because it promises safety. It tells you you've done enough, you deserve a break, or you can start later. And while rest is important, too much of it becomes a trap. It quietly erodes your ambition, dulls your hunger, and convinces you that mediocrity is normal. The tragedy is that comfort never tells you when it turns from rest into regret. You only realize it when you wake up years later wondering where your potential went. Comfort slowly kills dreams. It doesn't do it violently. It does it quietly through procrastination, distraction, and self-justification. Purpose, however, is the opposite. It doesn't beg you to follow it. It dares you to. It challenges you to endure difficulty for something greater than yourself. It doesn't offer instant rewards, but promises long-term strength and fulfillment. Purpose will test your patience, your endurance, and your faith. It will ask you to give more than you think you have, but in return, it gives you meaning, something comfort can never provide. The people who live with fire in their eyes and certainty in their hearts are not those who avoided pain. They are those who embraced purpose even when it hurt. Every act of improvement is a declaration that you've chosen purpose over comfort. When you push yourself to learn, to rise, to persist, you are training your mind to prioritize meaning over pleasure. You're saying, I'm not here to feel good for a moment. I'm here to grow for a lifetime. And this decision changes everything. It rewires your brain, rebuilds your habits, and reshapes your future. You stop chasing what is easy and start pursuing what is necessary. You begin to measure success not by comfort, but by contribution. The truth is, comfort and purpose cannot coexist for long. One will eventually consume the other. If you keep choosing comfort, purpose will fade. But if you keep choosing purpose, comfort will evolve. It will come not from ease, but from knowing you are living as you were meant to live. The REA. Peace in life doesn't come from avoiding struggle. It comes from facing it with meaning. When you choose purpose, pain doesn't disappear. It transforms. It becomes the proof of your progress, the evidence that you are moving towards something worthwhile. So ask yourself each day, which will I serve, comfort or purpose? The answer to that question decides the strength of your spirit. Purpose will demand everything from you, but it will also give you everything you need. Comfort will keep you safe, but it will also keep you small. The choice is simple, but never easy. Still, those who rise choose purpose, because while comfort fades, purpose lasts forever. And it's only by forcing yourself to walk the path of purpose that you will discover who you truly are and what you are capable of becoming. Improvement begins with one brutal act: complete self-honesty. You cannot rise while lying to yourself. You cannot improve while hiding behind excuses or pretending that your effort is enough when deep down you know it's not. Growth starts the moment you stop saying, I'm trying, and start saying, I can do better. Most people will never reach their potential because they are too afraid to face their own reflection. They build illusions to protect their ego. They say things like, I'm doing my best, it's not my fault, or I just need more time. These are not truths, they're shields that protect weakness, not strength. Self-honesty tears down those walls, and though it hurts, it sets you free. It's easy to lie to others. It's even easier to lie to yourself. You convince yourself that your distractions are rest, that your fear is logic, and that your lack of discipline is patience. But the truth doesn't care about feelings. The truth is the mirror that shows you who you are, not who you pretend to be. Improvement requires that you stand before that mirror and ask the questions most people avoid. Am I really giving my all? Am I being consistent? Am I proud of the why I'm living? These questions are uncomfortable because they expose the gap between who you are and who you could be. But it's that gap that defines your next level of growth. There's a deep kind of courage that comes with honesty, the courage to confront your weaknesses without judgment. Weakness is not a crime, denial is. When you see your flaws clearly, you gain the power to change them. But when you hide them, they grow stronger in the dark. Improvement requires humility. It demands that you admit you're not where you should be. That humility is not self-hate, it's self-awareness. It's saying, I respect myself enough to tell myself the truth. And from that truth comes transformation, because when you accept where you are, you finally gain the clarity to move toward where you want to be. Accountability is the purest form of honesty. You stop blaming circumstances, people, or luck, and you start taking full ownership of your life. You realize that no one is coming to save you. Your habits are either building your future or destroying it. And if they're destroying it, only you can stop them. This realization is painful, but it's also empowering. Once you see that you are responsible for your results, you stop waiting for change. You start creating it. The moment you say, it's on me, the power returns to your hands. Self-honesty also reshapes how you see success. You stop seeking validation and start seeking progress. You no longer need to prove yourself to anyone because you know where you stand. You measure yourself not against others, but against who you were yesterday. That's how true growth happens. Improvement becomes a personal promise, not a public performance. You no longer chase the illusion of perfection. You chase truth, and truth leads to mastery. So stand in front of the mirror, not just the physical one, but the mirror of your mind, and ask yourself if you are truly growing or just going in circles. The answer may sting, but it will guide you toward greatness. Real change doesn't begin when the world believes in you. It begins when you finally stop lying to yourself. Honesty is not comfortable, but it is liberating. It's the foundation of every breakthrough, every achievement, and every transformation you'll ever experience. Because until you are honest with yourself, you'll never know what you're truly capable of becoming. Fear is the greatest barrier between who you are and who you could become. It whispers in your ear that you're not ready, that you might fail, that others will judge you. Fear convinces millions to live half-lives, safe, predictable, and small. But here's the truth. Fear isn't a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's proof that you're moving towards something meaningful. The very things that scare you the most often hold the keys to your growth. Fear is the border between the known and the unknown, and improvement only exists beyond that border. The challenge is not to eliminate fear. It's to transform it into fuel. Every time you avoid fear, it grows stronger. Every time you face it, it weakens. That's the silent law of the mind. Avoidance feeds fear, action starves it. You cannot reason with fear. You must act through it. The moment you take a step toward what scares you, fear begins to lose its grip. It's no longer a monster in the dark. It becomes a challenge to conquer. People waste years waiting for the courage to act. But courage is not something you wait for. It's something you generate. It's the product of movement. The mind doesn't grow brave by thinking. It grows brave by doing. There's a strange transformation that happens when you walk toward what you fear. At first, your heart races, your doubts scream, and everything inside you says, turn back. But if you keep going, the panic starts to fade. What once looked impossible becomes manageable. The fear that controlled you starts to obey you. This is because fear thrives in imagination, not in reality. Once you step into action, you realize it was never as powerful as you believed. You were giving it life by standing still. The moment you move, you take its power away. When you force yourself to face fear, you are teaching your subconscious a new language, the language of dominance. You are saying, I control this mind. It does not control me. Each time you face something that terrifies you, whether it's failure, rejection, or uncertainty, you carve a new path of strength within yourself. You prove that fear doesn't define you, your response does. The difference between a person who grows and one who stays stuck is simple. One uses fear as a compass, and the other uses it as a cage. A reprogram has no real power unless you obey it. It cannot touch your potential, your will, or your soul. It can only whisper, and it's up to you whether you listen. When you learn to convert that whisper into energy, you become unstoppable. Fear starts working for you instead of against you. It sharpens your focus, heightens your awareness, and prepares you for what's next. The greatest moments of your life will always come after moments of fear, because that's where transformation lives. So stop running. Stop waiting for fear to disappear, because it never will. You will never be fearless, but you can become courageous. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's mastery over it. Force yourself to face what you fear most, and you'll uncover a freedom most people never experience, the freedom of self-command. The moment you stop letting fear decide your path, you begin to design your destiny. The more you walk through fear, the more you realize it was never your enemy. It was your greatest teacher waiting to show you your strength. A reprogram improvement isn't always loud or dramatic. Most of the time, it's silent, lonely, and unseen. It's not about sudden transformation, but about quiet endurance, the unglamorous persistence that most people underestimate. Persistence is not exciting, it's exhausting, it's waking up to the same challenge every day and refusing to surrender. It's pushing forward even when results are invisible. Persistence doesn't promise quick rewards, it promises eventual victory. And those who force themselves to persist, even through disappointment, confusion, and fatigue, are the ones who rise above everyone else. Most people give up not because they can't succeed, but because they get tired of trying. They confuse slow progress with failure. They don't realize that the path to mastery is paved with repetition, boredom, and setbacks. Persistence means you keep showing up, not because it's easy, but because quitting is no longer an option. You train your mind to keep going when every emotion tells you to stop. You replace the question, how long will this take, with as long as it takes. That shift changes everything. It takes you from desperation to determination, from uncertainty to unbreakable focus. The truth about persistence is that it doesn't always feel noble. Sometimes it feels meaningless, like your effort isn't paying off. But that's when persistence matters most, in the silence, in the uncertainty, in the waiting. Because persistence is not about results, it's about identity. Every time you refuse to quit, you are building the kind of person who can't be defeated. You are training your spirit to endure pressure. That strength compounds quietly, like roots growing beneath the soil. You may not see progress on the surface, but underneath, you are becoming unshakable. Persistence also transforms your relationship with failure. You stop seeing failure as the end and start seeing it as feedback. Each setback becomes data, a lesson that sharpens your next move. Those who persist learn faster because they stay in the game longer. They learn patience, strategy, and mental toughness. They develop a calm kind of power, the power that comes from knowing they can handle whatever comes next. Because once you've survived countless difficulties, you stop fearing them. You realize that obstacles are not walls, they're weights meant to make you stronger. The silent strength of persistence is this: it teaches you self-respect. Every time you push through difficulty, you send a message to your subconscious, I don't quit on myself. That message builds confidence that can't be faked. It's the confidence W.N. Tiber. The truth is, comfort is seductive because it feels safe. It gives the illusion of control, of certainty, of ease. But what it really does is trap you in repetition. It keeps you reliving the same day, over and over, calling it life. Growth doesn't happen in safety, it happens in friction. You must learn to seek discomfort the same way others seek convenience. Every time you choose the harder path, waking early, studying more, exercising discipline, you are teaching your mind that you are in charge. Discomfort becomes your ally. The pain of effort transforms into pride. You begin to crave the feeling of stretching beyond your limits because you realize that every moment of discomfort carries a hidden reward, the expansion of who you are. The danger of comfort is not that it stops your progress, it's that it convinces you that you're progressing when you're not. It fills your days with distractions and false satisfaction. You scroll through life, entertained but unfulfilled. You tell yourself you're happy, but deep down you feel the quiet ache of unused potential. That ache is your spirit trying to wake you up. It's the reminder that there's something inside you that refuses to settle. That voice within, the one that whispers, there's more in you, is not your enemy. It's your truth. Ignore it for too long, and you'll lose the fire that makes you alive. Listen to it, and you'll rediscover your hunger for growth, your will to strive, your need to evolve. You must learn to become comfortable being uncomfortable. The greatest transformation begins the moment you stop seeking ease and start embracing difficulty. Challenge is not punishment, it's purification. It burns away weakness, doubt, and fear, leaving only strength. The more you expose yourself to difficulty, the stronger you become. What once terrified you becomes familiar. What once broke you becomes your training ground. You realize that the fear you used to run from was never real. It was simply the shadow of your own potential. When you stop avoiding the fire and step into it, you don't burn. You forge yourself into something new. So push yourself deliberately into situations that demand more of you. Study when you want to rest. Speak when you want to stay silent. Lead when it's easier to follow. Every time you do something uncomfortable, you stretch your mind's capacity to handle pressure. And that's how growth truly works, one uncomfortable decision at a time. You don't grow by doing what feels good. You grow by doing what feels necessary. You evolve by challenging the voice that says, stay here, because the voice of comfort will always exist. It will always whisper. But as long as you keep moving, as long as you keep challenging yourself, it will never win. Growth will. There's a moment in self-improvement when you realize that waiting for the perfect time is just another form of fear. Most people spend their lives waiting for clarity, waiting for motivation, waiting for the right opportunity. But the truth is, none of that ever arrives. You don't grow because you're ready, you grow because you start. You move first, and readiness follows. Action builds clarity. Motion creates energy. You cannot think your way into transformation. You have to act your way into it. The longer you wait, the heavier your potential becomes, like a weight pressing on your chest. The only way to free yourself from it is to do something, anything that moves you forward. Because once you begin, even clumsily, momentum starts to carry you, and momentum is far more powerful than motivation ever will be. Hebrew fear disguises itself as preparation. It makes you overthink, overanalyze, and overplan. It tells you that if you just think a little longer, you'll finally feel confident. But confidence doesn't come before action, it comes after. You earn it through repeated effort, through small victories, through proving to yourself that you can handle more than you thought. Every successful person you admire was once uncertain, unprepared, and scared. The only difference is that they acted anyway. They didn't wait to feel fearless. They acted through fear. And in doing so, they discovered that fear loses its power the moment you face it. Fear feeds on hesitation. The longer you wait, the stronger it becomes. But when you move, when you refuse to stand still, fear starves. Hebrew action is the ultimate teacher. Every mistake gives you insight that thinking never could. You learn more in a single failure than in 100 hours of planning. Life rewards the doer, not the dreamer. The world doesn't move for those who hope. It moves for those who act. Even the smallest steps taken consistently begin to shift your reality. One small effort triggers a chain reaction. You begin to feel more capable, more in control, more alive. You realize that growth isn't about sudden breakthroughs. It's about small, repeated acts of courage. Every day you choose action over hesitation, you reshape your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who wants to change and start becoming someone who does change. This is why discipline will always outlast motivation. Motivation is a feeling. It comes and goes. Discipline is a choice. It stays even when you don't feel like it. When you take action based on discipline, you take control of your future. You stop being ruled by your moods and start being guided by your purpose. Every act of discipline reinforces the message that your goals matter more than your excuses. You begin to build trust with yourself, the kind of trust that says, no matter how I feel, I will still move. That's how you transform your life, by replacing emotion with execution. The more you act despite resistance, the less resistance controls you. Hebrew. So stop waiting for perfect conditions. They will never exist. Stop waiting to feel confident. Confidence is the prize, not the prerequisite. You don't need to be ready. You need to be willing. Willing to fail, to look foolish, to make mistakes, to try again. Every time you take action, even imperfectly, you're breaking the chains that hold most people back. Action is what separates those who talk about improvement from those who live it. So move, not when it's the willingness to be misunderstood. When you commit to self-improvement, people around you may not understand your silence, your distance, your focus. They might call you obsessed, cold, or selfish. But they can't see what you see. They don't feel the fire burning inside you. Sacrifice often isolates you because not everyone has the courage to evolve, and that's okay. Growth isn't meant to be a group activity. You must be willing to walk alone, to be doubted, to be underestimated, because every step of solitude refines your focus. The loneliness you feel in your journey is not a punishment. It's a sign that you're walking your own path. You must also sacrifice your need for instant gratification. Improvement is not about what happens now. It's about what happens later, after countless invisible efforts, after long nights of discipline, after months of consistency. Most people fail not because they lack potential, but because they demand results too soon. They want the fruit before the roots are deep. But if you force results before their time, you destroy the process that makes them last. True growth requires patience, the willingness to keep going even when there's no applause, no reward, and no proof. The stronger your patience, the deeper your success. So embrace the truth. Everything you want will cost you something. Time, comfort, approval, peace, growth will ask for all of it. But in exchange, it will give you something far greater: strength, clarity, and purpose. You'll realize that sacrifice is not about losing what's valuable. It's about trading what's temporary for what's eternal. The life you dream of doesn't come by chance. It comes by choice. Every day you are choosing between what is easy and what is right. Choose the path that demands more of you, because that's the only path that transforms you. The pain of sacrifice is temporary. The power it gives you lasts forever. Ebrauche improvement is not a destination. It's a lifelong commitment. There is no P. Nischlein. No moment when you finally arrive. The moment you believe you've reached your peak is the moment you begin to decline. True greatness comes from staying a student forever, hungry, humble, and relentless. You must never allow your achievements to lull you into complacency. Success is not a signal to stop. It's an invitation to rise higher. Every new level you reach exposes a new level of weakness to strengthen, a new layer of potential to uncover. That's the beauty of life. There's always more within you waiting to be awakened, but to keep improving, you must remain teachable. The mind that believes it already knows everything has already stopped growing. Growth demands humility. You must have the courage to admit that you are not yet who you could be. This realization should not make you ashamed. It should make you excited, because awareness of your flaws is proof that you can still evolve. Every time you identify a weakness, you are staring at an opportunity for transformation. But humility isn't about belittling yourself. It's about being honest with yourself. It's about looking at your reflection and saying, I can do better. That sentence, repeated daily, is the fuel of self-mastery. Improvement is born in that honest conversation between who you are and who you know you can become. It's the decision to face your imperfections instead of hiding them. Because pretending to be perfect only protects your pride. It never strengthens your soul. Those who commit to lifelong improvement learn to find joy in the process, not just the outcome. They stop chasing validation and start chasing growth. They understand that true fulfillment doesn't come from what they achieve, but from who they become in the process. Every challenge, every mistake, every victory becomes a part of their evolution. They stop comparing themselves to others because they realize the only real competition is with yesterday's version of themselves. The goal is not to be better than so. Mion else? It's to be better than you were yesterday. That mindset creates unstoppable momentum because there's always progress to be made. You begin to measure success not in applause or recognition, but in self-respect, in knowing that you gave more, learned more, and became more than you were before. But maintaining that hunger requires discipline. You must keep feeding your mind with knowledge, surrounding yourself with challenge, and protecting yourself from comfort. Growth is a fragile thing. It dies quickly in an environment of ease. You have to keep stretching yourself, keep testing your limits, keep asking, what's next? The moment you stop asking that question, you begin to drift backward. Improvement is like a fire. It burns only as long as you keep feeding it. The moment you stop, it fades. That's why discipline is the guardian of progress. It keeps the flame alive when inspiration disappears. It reminds you that greatness is not built in moments of excitement, but in years of consistent effort. In the end, forcing yourself to improve is not about becoming perfect. It's about refusing to settle. It's about waking up every day with the quiet determination to become a little stronger, a little wiser, a little better than you were yesterday. The goal is endless growth, a constant evolution of mind, body, and spirit. Because life is not about reaching the top. It's about rising again and again, higher than before. Improvement is not a phase. It's your purpose. The moment you stop forcing yourself to grow, you stop living fully. So keep moving, keep evolving, keep becoming. The world doesn't need perfection. It needs people who never stop improving.